so today I wanted to see if we were able to start our presentations. Who here has completed their one slide presentation? Raise your hand. And we said Tuesdays was for this side of the class.
Yeah, Tuesdays for them.
So you'll be ready Thursday?
100%.
Nothing today?
I didn't make a slide, but like I did like look up stuff. Well, I was looking at retail stuff, but at the moment right now retail is like there's
Wait.
Oh.
Can you save it for us?
Oh, okay.
Okay, you
Why
can come,
not?
you don't have to have a slide.
Okay.
You can just come and talk. Anything you want to share? You can share with us? You have a slide? Okay, you could just, whenever it's time, you could bring your laptop up and I'll just connect it. Are you guys together or did you do something separately?
I did something separate.
Okay, so we'll have you three come up. I'll break it up. I'll lecture, one person come up, lecture some more, and break it up from there. All right, good. Okay, we got some sort of presentations. All right, today we're going to be discussing business communication, right? Exactly understanding what communication is in the world of business, how we can relate it to our personal selves as well, how we communicate, and understanding how to deliver messages that matter in the world of business, right? To be effective, to make people want to take action, to pay attention to us, to persuade people, to convince, right? Extremely important in the world of business. So let me ask you, any of you think that you struggle with communication in any way? Have you ever gotten feedback from others in any way, shape, or form about your communication style, things you could do better with, anything? Or things you wish you could be better at in terms of communicating? Yes?
So in our communication class and speech, we do the speeches and well, they told me to be more loud and speak.
To raise your. So let me ask you, so if being loud is a thing, why is it low for you? Is it a cultural thing? Is it something like, hey, in my family, we also talk very low? Or you only talk low in certain situations or environments? Where do you think it comes from?
I think it comes from environment because I speak very loud and everything.
Okay, so you're like, hey, in some environments, I may speak low because maybe I feel a little bit more shy, right? I may feel a little bit more stressed out, right? Are people going to understand me? And, something of the sort, right? So something that you say you just have to work on, right? But we say get to the root of it. Get to the root is like, why should you care so much what other people think? Right? That's really the real root. Real root is like, oh, I'm caring about other people in my environment. And some people are like, who cares? Right? Imagine a person like, you're familiar with like Andrew Tate? You need Tate people. Yeah, controversial figure, but you always like, at least he speaks with force, right? Confidence. Sometimes you can sell that, sometimes you can't. So yeah, get to the root. Maybe people shouldn't matter as much when you communicate, if you're trying to get your point across, right? Either they get it or they don't. Anyone else feel that they could do something better in terms of communication styles? Yeah.
I think I'm pretty good at talking with people, but like actually approaching someone like about something,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I struggle with. Because like once I'm actually in the conversation, like I'll be fine.
Okay.
But like actually like
Initiate.
initiating the conversation, like I feel like I struggle in that area.
Yeah, you're like, hey, I'm good once I'm in there and I'm good exiting. I struggle with entering the conversation. Like, how do I enter? How do I introduce? Right? What do I do? What do I lead up to? So I say, hey, life is about experimentation. Like literally, you could just use the school as a laboratory, right? Just smile at someone and see if they smile back. Like you could just practice this. Just walking down the hall. Let me just go up to someone and be like, hey, can I ask you a question? And work on like, if I can make more initiation, right? practice them. What you'll come to find is that, hey, a lot of people struggle as much as you struggle with stuff, right? In different areas. But I say, in order to get better at something, you have to attempt it. So, sometimes psychology would say, deliberate discomfort. Be uncomfortable on purpose. Like if you take that mindset, you're like, I'm gonna do something I don't feel like doing. On purpose. Why? I just want to curious. I want to see what happens. Right? And then you will override your previous thinking, because your previous thinking was like, don't do that. Take the easy way. Life is so much better easy. Don't approach. Right? Or talk low, right? Like it's easier. Because think about that. Like even if we're saying talk low, you're like, your mind is saying, I want the easier way. If I talk low, maybe it'll be easier for me. If I talk high, maybe I feel people pay more attention to what I'm saying. Like this is purely psychological, right? That's all it is. You could retrain your brain at any point in time, right? That's why I'm saying just doing something that you don't want to do is progress, right? I'm gonna do 10 push-ups. I don't feel like doing it. Do it anyway, right? So you can get some progress. All right, so business communication, creating, delivering messages that matter. All right, so in this chapter, we will learn about importance of excellent business communication. Think about it. In business, you need to communicate with customers, investors, shareholders, stakeholders. You need to convey your ideas to people. You need to talk to people. Same person, at some point, you're going to be looking for a job. Now you got to go to an interview. You got to apply. You got to represent yourself. You're like a brand, right? You're like, who are you? Like, are you a luxury Gucci, Louis Vuitton brand that people see you that way? Or does people see you as Walmart? Right? How are you communicating? Communication is everything. How you look, your gestures, eye contact to show confidence, right? The way you posture yourself, the way you talk to people. Right? All that stuff matters. Because people have to buy into you. Right? It's just like any other relationships, like even a romantic relationship or a friendship. You kind of like, why do you like that person? I like what they represent. They seem trustworthy. They come off as honest. They come off as funny and humorous, right? They got style, they got swag, something of the sort, right? And this is the same way when it operates with business. People have to like you. Continue the relationship. All right, so we'll describe some key elements of nonverbal communication. We'll look at effective communication channels, right words for effective communication, effective business memos, letters and emails, successful verbal presentation. Now, how to just be considered a professional, right? How to be considered a professional and be effective. All right, so here's a textbook definition of communication. Communication is sender and receiver, right? And inside of sender and receiver, you're like, okay, I'm going to send a message to somebody. Doesn't mean texting, doesn't mean email. It could be like, I'm going to talk, or I'm going to send a nonverbal cue to someone. Right? You can just look at someone and send a message. And you can think of, I wonder if they will interpret this message the way that I intended it to be interpreted. But that's a challenge, because we misinterpret things all the time. Think of text message, you're like, wow, what does that mean? Now you gotta get into a whole discussion, right? Oh, I didn't mean that, right? I was saying this, I used this emoji. Why'd you use that emoji? Right, so you're like, things get lost in translation constantly. So the best communicators are people that are easy to interpret, right? We don't like to be confused about the message. Give it to me so I can predict what you're saying with accuracy. All right, challenging. So how do we get there? Well, one, listening is important as a recipient. Sometimes we like to cut people off when they're talking because we're just waiting to say what we want to say. But you didn't even let the person finish their thought. So now you only get partial information that you're going to respond to. Right? That's not really professional, right? Sometimes you're just active listening. It means like, hey, you look kind of listening, but your mind is somewhere else. People can tell, right? They're looking way over here, over there, something of the sort. And then seeking and understanding feedback from one's audience, responding appropriately. So being able to get feedback from people and adjust and adapt, right? So people, right, customers may be like, hey, we don't like this. You're gonna do something about it? Yes, I got the message. Let me change some things so that I supply things that my customers want. It's about the customer, not me, right? So we say those who communicate the best usually ends up with the most success, right? Because they usually are able to interact with more people and have more resources, a bigger network, all of these things. So communication is extremely important. Noise, right? Barriers to good communication. So we say, hey, there's noise in the background. Any interference that causes the message you send to be different from the message your audience understand. Right? So you're like, hey, anything, a barrier that got in the way. What got in the way? You weren't looking at me. So I don't think your message was important. That's noise. Something got in the way. Your tone of voice. Like, why do you got that tone of voice? Now I'm not even focused on what they're saying anymore. I'm focused on how aggressive you are. I'm wondering where else is coming from, right? You're like, well, you're not listening to my words, right? Well, tone down your voice. Right? I think body language, right? You can be nervous, and your nervousness may distract people. And not every, they don't pay attention to what you're saying. They pay attention to your nervousness, right? Now I think, I talk loud, right? You say you talk loud when you're like around friends and family, right? So I talk loud kind of all the time, which is, I think maybe partially like a cultural thing, right? Because dad's Italian, big mouth, loud Italian. Mom's black, so on the black side we could be a little loud. But the Italian side are really loud. Like my dad's just loud. And then, so people go, why you talk so loud right now? Like on the phone, like tone it down, But you're like, hey, that actually is effective maybe in like professional situations, right? Everybody can hear it clear, right? Like, so being a professor or a business situation, it works. Or maybe, around family or something like, dude, tone it down, right? Tone it down. All right. So what are some other communication barriers? What are some other things you think could get in the way? Noise, relative to some of these things. Physical, language, body language, cultural, perceptional, and organization. Can you think of anything else that could get in the way of effective communication? Anything.
Maybe what you're wearing.
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine you're in a business meeting, everybody showed up in like a suit, and you showed up with like a graphic t-shirt on, right? You're gonna sit at the table and everybody's gonna be like, hey, what's that saying on your shirt? Like, you lost us, right? Like, we were here to talk about business, which is why suits is a thing, because sometimes you want everybody kind of look, uniforms are a thing too. You want everybody to look alike, so you're not focused on what they're wearing, right? Because if everybody's wearing super cool clothing, we might be looking at your shoes, your dress, your suit, your hat, and now we get distracted, right? Like in a business setting, it's about business, right? It's not about the extra personal stuff. So yes, clothing can get in the way. And clothing can help too. Back in the day, they would call the suit, would come from the suit of armor. They're basically saying like, usually for men, you're treated a certain way just by wearing a suit, or even just a blazer. Test it. One day wear a blazer, to school. And I guarantee you, people who never seen you before, see you the first time, they'll treat you different. They're like, oh, excuse me, sir. Right? Right, but sir, what are you talking about? Right? So you're like, hey, because it sends a message. When we say message is about signals. We're always sending signals. How you dress is a signal. How you do your hair is a signal. Your body language is a signal. Everything is a signal being sent out. And different people are interpreting it in different ways, right? To kind of define who you are as a person. Now, intercultural communications. Communication among people with different cultural backgrounds. So it's difficult to try to convey the same message across different cultures, which is why a lot of, say, advertisers, they try to limit the amount of words that they say in an advertisement, but just kind of paint a picture. So they'll put a photograph with very few words, so that hopefully the photograph will resonate with any culture, whether it be about love, trust, humor, something of that sort. But if you start to put too many words, different words will have different meanings in different languages, things can get lost in translation. It's a little bit difficult when we're talking about across borders. Hey, all right, so here's a question. You don't have to answer the first part, or maybe just think of this together. So, we could be two groups today, right? So you're a group and you're a group. Okay, out of the 6 barriers to effective communications, which ones are kind of easiest to, let's say, change, right? Which ones are easiest and which one is more difficult to change, right? So that we can kind of be effective. Which which ones are more easiest? So maybe do a hierarchy. You could come up with a list from 1 through 6, from easiest to change to most difficult to change, right? In order to be effective. So I'll give you a couple minutes to do that in your groups. So if you want to link up. Hey, look at us, introducing ourselves to people we never talked to. Effective communication. Hey, you're struggling with your introduction? What's your introduction to initiate conversation?
What do you think, bro?
I think the easiest is physical.
Okay, yeah, I could agree with that. What is perception?
Perception, like how you perceive something, or how you view.
So
I think that would be one of the hard ones, or like 5.
I feel like low key would be physical body language, because you can work on your body language.
In language.
Language, yeah, you can also work on language. Then maybe cultural, because low key you could like get rid of the whole culture thing.
I think cultural would be the hardest,
Why?
because that's what you're born into.
But then like say you're like a businessman, boom, everyone's wearing the same suit. You could just get rid of the whole culture thing by being part of the group that you're in. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't think it's easier than the physical, the language, or the body language, because obviously there's still like maybe even the way you talk could be part of your culture. So
What does it mean by organization?
Changing the way businesses communicate all together. You can think of, hey, do they have meetings? Do they communicate primarily through emails, right? So that they have meetings to get people together, say on the same page. Do they just do it via email? Things like that. How they organize themselves to communicate. I know some of these could be a little bit challenging to kind of think. All right, but here, we don't have to spend that much time on it. What are some of the thoughts of this hierarchy? What were you thinking?
We said probably physical is the easiest.
How come?
Yeah, what?
Cause I feel like it's pretty easy to change something physical. Like, well,
All right, you're like, hey, maybe physical is like you said, change the way you dress. That's pretty simple, right? Make uniforms or something, right? Change your communication style or something. Okay, what did you find was the most difficult? Or did you differ on that?
I say cultural
Alright.
because
How come?
you're born in that, and I feel like you're more prone to going back to your cultural.
So you're like, hey, cultural is kind of set, kind of deeply rooted, set behaviors and things like that. Okay, cool. Did you have a difference in opinion?
I didn't think cultural. I thought perceptual,
How come?
because that's just like how people see you. Like you can't really change. Like say I have my opinion on you, I'm really not gonna change.
Change it.
Yeah.
So like, hey, perceptual, because maybe that's more on their side. Like you may not have that much power to change how someone perceives you, right?
I feel like your culture could have an influence on your perception as well.
Yeah, definitely. So you know what? You're like, hey, you know what? A lot of these are maybe extremely tied into together. Because think about it. If we say we might have a perception of an entire culture of people, and when we meet that person, we know no information about them, we automatically have a perception, right? Even though we know little information about them because they come from a culture that we maybe have a viewpoint from. Okay, excellent. Over here, what was like your least? What was at the top? What was at the bottom?
What was the easiest to change was like language and body language, because that's something you could work on. Like, it's easily, you could manage to like change it, whereas we thought physical and cultural was way more hard, cause like, you can't really change your physical appearances, and like how they said, your culture is basically already set, so you
Yeah.
can't really change beliefs and all that.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. If you do have a physical look about yourself, right, or something, maybe some deficit going on, that is kind of difficult to change, right? Kind of like you look how you look. All right, excellent. All right, so let's do this. We'll have our first presenter come up. Let's start with you right here. You'll be our first.
Can I actually go Thursday, cause I don't have any like ideas, I just like quickly saw something, but I think if I go Thursday, like I'll actually have like a whole presentation.
Like you want a slide?
Yeah, like I'll actually have a slide.
Okay, here we go. You can't create a bullet point in.
Oh, it's just like I just like quickly saw something, but I wouldn't be able to give off like that much information.
Okay, sounds good. All right, what kind of connector you get? USB-C or HDMI?